Jim brought up some things that are kind of, I hadn't even thought about. He talked about the logs floating down the rivers. My family was loggers, were loggers. And they lived on the North River, where my grandfather worked in the camp on the North River. When I was first very little, we lived in a float house. This float house was built on two spruce logs. You know, you couldn't reach across them, as I remember as a child. And we got it floating down the river. That's the way they got it. And this fellow that got the logs originally got them, cut out slots, put cross beams on it, built the frame of the house, and my dad finished it up. But I mean, this was still, well, I won't tell you how long ago it was, but it was still in use, that type of thing. The other thing is, when Jim took me for a walk, I was trying to figure out where this beach was when I was a kid, because it's not there. And I remember going up there when there was a salmon derby, and there were boats on this beach everywhere. And they rented, as I remember, they rented spots for people to camp, and they did all this kind of stuff. I mean, the salmon derbies were huge at that time. Of course, there were still fish. But anyway, they had, then I found out where the old road was, and in my own mind, I could lay out where this beach was, and I remember as a kid, and it was along that area. And so the landscape has changed so much that it's hard to visualize what was there at times. Very hard. We had a funny thing happen. My grandfather was sick in California here several years ago, and it was just before the ferries went out of use on the Columbia. So I decided, that we're going to come back out and ride these rather moderately large ferries that I remember as a child. So my wife is starting to look at me, but anyway. So we came up and we waited for this ferry, and I don't know, it wasn't much bigger than canoes. They were very small, they held 4 or 5 cars, and we came across on it. My wife, who was not swimming, who was not overly fond of water, was not too sure when we came across on the ferries. So there is a connection from old Middle Village to where we're at now. The Chinook are still here. Things haven't changed that way. Our culture has been decimated, but we're trying to get it back. We were in Arizona here for a wedding. Daughter was married down in Arizona. We came back up, we stopped at the Navajos. And I was talking to a Navajo woman, told her who I was, introduced myself, and the first thing she says, do you have your language? We're trying, we're getting it back. But I mean, these are things that are important for all of this McGowan thing. The village had been, and there were villages anywhere where there's a flat. Especially, I mean, they built those villages. But this particular, we would not be talking especially about Middle Village if it wasn't for a ragtag bunch of people that camped there for a few days. They took up their time, we went back. So then, because of them, there was powers that be that decided to put in a park. Well, in order to put in a park, they needed land. In order to have land, they had to move the road. So this meeting with archaeology had to be done for the road. First time I was there, you won't believe this. I knew the archaeologists were there. I wanted to stop and see. I knew exactly where it was. I pulled in, and all of Sunday Astoria Market was there.
Yeah, I know.
And I couldn't figure out what's Astoria Market being over there. I pulled in, talked to a guard that was there. They were shooting a movie. And they moved the Astoria Market over there for And I can't remember the name of the movie, it was some horror flick, I think it was. But anyway, everybody else knew what it was, but I had no idea. Then they had, the one thing I remember about it is, besides the market, they had set up these walls with painted rocks on it. It looked like they were three-dimensional. If you walked around the back side, there was just a wall, that's all it was. So anyway, that started out. They came to cultural committee, they talked to us about these things, and then they were going to pull a floor, an old milking barn was there, and there was a concrete slab there, and they were going to pull this off. Well, they wanted somebody in there while they pulled this slab off, so I volunteered. I was very interested in it. They pulled it up. Eventually, they got down to a point where the construction was going to start. And one of the archaeologists told me, you know, if we don't find a plank house here, they're starting this road on Monday. So we had a winter gathering then. Right? My wife says, you know, I've never been on an archaeological site. Why don't we pull in there? So we pulled in there, and they were working on Saturday. They shouldn't have been. And the Miss Queen was up with protected from our wonderful sunny weather. And I walked over there, the archaeologist says, Charlie, you've got to see this. And I walked over. And there in the sand, was a plank house. The planks off a plank house. So I went up, I got Gary and the rest of the people, we went down and looked at it, and there it was. And it was, I don't know, you know, like, he could have warned me. I walked out and looked at that ground, I could have fallen over. But they found a tremendous amount of things. So it went on, the road construction stopped, they did some negotiation with the tribe. Finally, it was agreed that the road could go over if there were certain precautions taken. One out there would be digging, all this sort of thing went on. And then the Department of Transportation, in their knowledge, went and dug anyway. And, well, I had some notes. I happened to stay, when I was going ready for this, I happened to find this. And I forgot I even had it. Anyway, Tuesday, email. About 10:30, bones found on the side. And I sat there and I looked at my wife and I said, I'm going. So I got as far as Raymond, and Jim gave me a call. He said he wanted to see me, so we went down there. Or Gary wanted help on it. So I arrived down there, and Gary was there with Red Claws and this sort of thing to protect what we had found. And then we had all the people there. The next day, on Wednesday, we just sang our songs and we did some things on the site. And then it went from there. And we discovered a lot of things there. We had made the decision from the start that this was somebody's gravesite. It definitely was our relative's gravesite. And we wanted to protect it. The wonderful thing about it is we had a contractor that's very conscious of what we were doing. In fact, is the fellow that struck the bones, they were doing digging a ditch. And he put the arm out like this, pulled it back like this, all of a sudden saw bones. The operator saw the bones, the contractor saw the bones, and Deborah Woods, who's the archaeologist at Fort Placid, was standing there, and she saw them, and he stopped to meet them. The operator apologized 3 times to me for disturbing our graves, which I thought, you know, I appreciated it.